Welcome to The Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about podcasts. It's about all the other things we discovered this week. I'm Josh.
I'm Kirk.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Daniel.
So guys, I've been trying to think of a reoccurring segment for our show that would be interesting to the listeners, a discovery that everyone could get behind and understand and relate to. And I think I hit it. I think I know exactly what it is that's going to be my new reoccurring segment. And
should be interesting.
What I think we should do is I think we should explore our bodies together. And as we get together and explore our bodies and all the wonders of the human body, what better place to start than with Kirk's favorite, the feet. So this is my new segment called Explore Our Bodies Together, where I'm going to talk about different parts of the human body each week, starting with the feet.
Can you please not call this segment Explore Our Bodies? Please.
It's clearly on purpose.
It is going to happen, and there is no way you can change my mind.
It's clearly on purpose.
It might be the best name for it.
Let's see what's going to happen.
The foot, plural, feet, is the anatomical structure found in many vertebrates. It's the terminal part of the leg made up of one or more segments of bones, generally including claws or nails. I don't know what differentiates between a claw or a nail, but I think I'm going to start calling them my toe claws.
It seems like it's pointiness.
My son calls his big toe his thumb toe. I mean,
he's not wrong. It kind of is your thumb toe.
So the human foot is made up of 26 bones and 33 joints, 20 of which are actively articulated. Fun fact.
They
and
all
more
articulate.
than 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments. So there's a lot going on in your feet. One of the really interesting things about the foot is that it's broken down into three different parts. There's the hind foot, the midfoot, and the forefoot.
I feel like I'm in a class now.
Is this interesting?
Wait for it.
Okay.
So, give you a little bit of idea about structure. So, clinical significance. So, I'm on the Wikipedia article for anyone that hasn't guessed that yet.
I was gathering.
So, due to their position and function, feet are exposed to a variety of potential infections and injuries, including athlete's foot, bunions, ingrown toenails, Morton's neuroma, plantar fasciitis, plantar warts, and stress fractures.
What is a bunion?
It's kind of like when your bone grows out.
A bunion is a deformity of the joint connecting the big toe to the foot. The big toe often bends towards the other toes, and the joint becomes red and painful.
Oh.
The onset of bunions is typically gradual.
So
it's like your big toe turns in.
Big toe points towards your foot, and then you get inflammation.
Yeah, it like sticks out on the side. And it rubs against all your shoes, unless you get bunion shoes.
Learn something new every day.
In addition to kind of the outside things that can happen, you can have genetic disorders. So things like clubfoot or flat feet. Basically, there's a lot of information here talking about all of the different things that can go wrong with them. And in society and culture, humans typically wear shoes or footwear when walking outside to protect our feet.
Sure.
But one of the things that I thought was interesting is there's a lot of cultural things with feet and shoes around not wearing shoes inside and like religious ceremonies. There's a lot of religious stuff and cultural things around not wearing shoes in the home, which I thought was really cool. And there's a lot of kind of symbolism in, hey, your shoes are like your outside out in the world things, but when you're in someone's home, it's a very like intimate, private place. So you take your shoes off and you're like part of their home. So I thought that was really interesting.
So which do you prefer, Kirk? No shoes or with shoes? And does it depend on the type of shoe?
And then
he likes the shoes that contour to the foot, and it still looks like a foot even when they're wearing shoes.
And then the last thing,
I don't know what to say.
The 5 fingers. So the last thing is I searched foot Wikipedia.
And I'm the one that likes feet, guys.
Real quick. So also society and culture says
you have to turn safe search off for your Google searches.
So it also says foot fetishism is the most common form of sexual fetish. So Kirk, you're not alone. And so when I searched Wikipedia feet, that's what I like, because I wanted to get the Wikipedia article to get some
come up all
general
porn
information. No. The first article is
only like 45%.
You have to go to the 5th page, and
then there's the Wikipedia
The first
page.
article is foot Wikipedia. The second one is WikiFeet. WikiFeet is a photo sharing foot fetish website dedicated to sharing photos of celebrities' feet.
It's
Celebrity
like
feet?
It's like rate my feet.
RateMyFeet.com.
Is that real?
Yeah, there's Instagram feet and all kinds of stuff. So the more I scroll down, the less I am wanting to look at any of this. So the whole point is we're going to start.
The first article's okay. The other ones are not.
We're going to start exploring our bodies together. We're starting with the feet as we should.
So do we have to show each other the feet? Our feet?
Phrasing.
No.
Explore our bodies together.
Yeah. So as we continue through the human body, anyone out there,
Josh, let me see your feet so I can explore your body.
When you hear our episodes and we talk about feet, if you have fun facts about feet, send them to Kirk. He'd love to hear about your feet.
Don't. No.
Everybody send your pictures of your
Send us
feet.
your pictures of your feet. Any of that, like anything, any stories,
Especially if you have claws. If you would describe them as claws,
Yeah.
he's into them.
No, but
If you have
for
claws
real,
for toenails, I want to see that.
But for real, any foot forward stories or fun facts about feet, send them to us. I'd love to hear more cultural relevance around feet.
So, do you guys have any stories about your own feet? Was there ever a time that your feet did something amazing, or maybe prevented you harm in some way, or caused you harm in some way?
I've stepped on at least like 4 nails in my life and had to get tetanus shots.
Ow.
Were they rusty?
Yeah, that's why I had to get tetanus shots.
Like, I don't even know if I can tell a story on the podcast. So
Tell it in one.
Oh,
edit out
you
if
have
need
to now.
The reason that I don't like water parks is kind of because of feet. Because I went to a water park when I was in maybe middle school, early high school, and I went to the bathroom, and there's a solid 2 inches of water in water park bathrooms because I guess that's just part of the, I don't know, it's part of it. I hate water parks.
And you're barefoot walking in there.
Oh, no, I was not barefoot. That is not,
You walked around the entire water park with your flip-flops on?
Oh, yeah.
So that is our new segment for the week that you guys are going to be hearing about for the foreseeable future, where we explore our bodies together.
I vote nay.
And
I like it.
guys, again, everyone out there, if you have...
Explore your bodies with us.
Yeah, explore your bodies with us. Look into cultural things around the foot. Like songs, movies.
Don't go past the first Google
TV
entry.
shows.
I mean,
What are your fun facts about feet? What are the things that, when you hear feet, what do you think about? What are your feet stories? Tell us. We'd love to hear. So hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, and let
At
us know.
PDS Kirk.
I mean, just do the official because I'm the one that runs the socials, and that's why he's doing this crap to me.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's true.
So
Because he's never on any of
Yeah,
them.
no, he doesn't believe
I'm gonna
in.
get a disgusting fungus feet pic.
Yeah, there's a chance of that.
So my second recommendation for this week is coffee grounds. So apparently there's a massive amount of waste that's created from coffee grounds because people basically are just throwing them out, and it's a huge volume. Coffee is traded like a commodity like gas and oil is. It's crazy the volume of coffee the world goes through on a daily basis. And so there's a lot of companies popping up looking at how they can reuse coffee grounds. So one of the standard ones is you can use it as compost and fertilizer and things like that. And so if you go to a lot of Starbucks, you can just go grab a bag of coffee grounds that they've used up and just take it. You can just go grab it. It's sitting inside somewhere, which is really cool.
What do you do? Is there a code word? Hey, can I have your brown trash, please?
No, it's sitting there.
I used to
definitely
work
not
there,
that.
and people
They'll
used to
just
come
sit
in and get it all the time. There was
Yeah.
a guy that had a rose garden, and it's really good for
So
roses.
do you say anything?
No, you just be like, hey, can I get some compost? Or you
So
usually
you do
set
say
it up.
something.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not like
do you
a
mean,
code
say
word though. They
something?
throw out so much coffee grounds. It's
You
like
say, hey, can I have some coffee
Yeah.
grounds?
Yeah, the Starbucks by my house has giant bags that say like used coffee grounds for compost or fertilizer.
Oh, I
Whole
like
Foods
that.
will put buckets of coffee grounds out in front of the store, and you just grab it and take it. And
Yeah.
go.
it's even easier.
Yep, they put it in 5-gallon buckets, or they're not 5-gallon buckets, but they're little
big-
like 3-gallon buckets, and you just grab
That's
it.
awesome.
Do you get a free bucket?
Probably.
That's awesome.
So
Kirk's
I mean,
really into collecting buckets.
They get stuff that comes in buckets, and they just have to throw them away. So yeah, you can.
It's like I immediately throw it away, but I keep that bucket.
that's why his nickname
Whole
is
Foods
Bucket
is
Boy.
not keeping their buckets.
So the other thing that people are using coffee grounds for that were really interesting, there's a couple of companies popping up that are using them in more unique ways. So there's a company called Nat2 that's making sneakers they're vegan sneakers apparently, which I didn't know was a thing, but they're making them out of
part
coffee.
sneakers were non-vegan.
And they smell like coffee. So when you buy your pair of shoes, they smell like coffee when you get them, which is interesting.
So when your feet sweat, it smells like coffee's brewing.
Yep.
Smells like
And your
sweaty
feet.
coffee. Delicious.
That doesn't sound good.
And there's
I'm rolling
another
some coffee on my
company.
Tootsies right now.
I don't like the use of Tootsies, but we'll move on.
So there's another company out there called Cafe Form, which is making cups and mugs out of coffee grounds. So they're basically pressing them and then using some sort of binder or adhesive to make them into the shape of cups and mugs. And so you can drink your coffee from a mug made from coffee grounds, which I think is awesome and really interesting. Yeah. And they've got a really cool look to them. They look organic because they're made from coffee grounds.
Do they look vegan though? Do they look vegan?
I don't know if they look vegan.
But I'm not into it.
So I don't think so.
Also, there's a company that's making a kit where you can grow mushrooms and fungus, like edible mushrooms and fungus, out of coffee grounds. There's people that are making art with coffee grounds and coffee, which is really cool. There's a company that has created candles out of coffee grounds in some sort of adhesive binding material, and they look really cool. It's, again, you get this weird like matte brown organic earthy color, and I guarantee it smells like amazing coffee when you burn these things. So it's really cool way to reuse something that it's historically been a one-time use and then just going into a landfill somewhere.
I'm not opposed to this. Yeah.
And then there's also a company that's using coffee grounds to make 3D printing material. So you can 3D print things from former coffee grounds.
That's pretty cool.
There's a company that is making furniture from coffee grounds. So you can basically make like plastics or like hard materials out of coffee grounds if you put them with some sort of like binding adhesive. And so they're making all these different things. And
are all of these things like marketing themselves as like, this is your energy furniture. Yeah. These are your energy shoes.
No, they market it as like it's a green initiative. Like, hey, this is helping save the environment, reducing waste, et cetera, et cetera.
Recycled material.
Yeah. Every time your feet sweat, you're slowly absorbing more coffee.
Yeah, but I feel like it's probably just like a filler that's in whatever the adhesive or it's probably like a plastic
it
or
sounds
like whatever.
more like plywood.
So it's like a filler.
You know, because like, okay, they can make
particle boards.
They can make boards out of sawdust, and they're doing the same thing with coffee grounds.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're using 10% of the plastic that you would to make the things out of pure plastic, and you have something that's
all on
much
board
more
for that.
recycled, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, especially because, when you mention it, definitely the amount of coffee that's thrown away every day, just like spent coffee grounds, is probably a ridiculous amount. So, if they can find something to do with it, that's great. Yeah. That's awesome.
I mean, I don't think the coffee grounds are hurting anything where they go.
No, even in a landfill, coffee grounds are another problem. Right. It's single-use plastics.
Right. And so reducing the use of plastic and eliminating excess waste is all good. The last one is crazy. There's a company in Taiwan that is creating clothing. They've basically patented a process to recycle the coffee grounds into yarn, and they're making fabrics that are odor resistant and UV resistant.
What?
Yeah.
How
insane.
Do you make yarn?
It's a patented process, so they don't want you to know.
So they won't tell me.
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
And the last one is pretty crazy. There's actually a
it's that IP.
There's actually a institute in South Korea that's found a way to modify coffee grounds to capture carbon and provide simple, cheap way to remove harmful greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. So you look at all these things combined, and it's reducing
so instead of a charcoal
use,
filter, it's a coffee filter.
Yeah,
but
not a coffee filter.
Actually,
coffee filter, not a coffee filter.
Exactly.
So I just thought it was a really interesting article to see all these different ways that people are using something that was historically a waste product to reduce the use of one-time use plastics and all these other things. It's really, really cool stuff.
Honestly, that's a good thing.
To the environment
In general.
And I love coffee.
Yeah, no, I like coffee too, and it's making me self-conscious about throwing away my coffee, and I throw it in our compost pile because we have them.
I tried to use coffee grounds to fertilize our plants on our front porch, but now my stupid dog, every time I try and take him outside, tries to eat all the coffee grounds out of the plants. I don't want him eating coffee grounds, and then
I don't know how your dog would react if he ate coffee.
It's not. He loves coffee. Every time I'm drinking my coffee, he tries to drink it.
And I don't. His dog is high energy. No, he does not need coffee.
He does not need coffee. No, and he loves it. So, anyways,
speaking of breakfast beverages, do you guys like coffee or orange juice better?
Coffee.
All right, good. Well, I'm going to talk about...
Hey, get out of here.
The word orange. So, what do you guys think came first? Orange or orange?
What?
So, what I mean by that is the color of the fruit.
Color.
I'm going to go fruit.
I feel like it's a trick question. Now I feel like I need to go fruit.
Color.
All right, you're all wrong. It is a trick question. So...
I don't like this already.
Don't get mad because you lost.
Yeah, it's
We
okay.
all lost.
You all lost. And if you
like
said the
losing.
fruit, then you're closer to the truth. Because the original word for orange dates back into Sanskrit, and it actually meant an orange tree. So the origins of the word orange are related to the tree. It wasn't used as the fruit until 1512.
What did they call the fruit before 1512?
I was curious about that.
Round.
I don't know. They just called it the
round
orange
spicy
fruit,
fruits.
probably.
Orange fruit.
It was probably orange tree fruit.
Yeah, orange tree fruit. I don't know. It's not in this article, but you
Orange
know.
fruits.
And then the color was actually Old English, and the original. So before they had the word orange for the color, it was called. I'm gonna just try to say
Try
this
your best.
word. It's geolorid. Geolorid.
Yeah, say it with a little more umph, like you believe in what you're saying.
Geolorid.
There you go.
And it
gotta lean
meant
into
yellow
it.
red.
Yellow red.
So the description of the color was much, much later. First, it was the tree, then it became the fruit, and then they replaced georid with orange as a color, and that is.
I had no idea. That's actually really fascinating. And I'm particularly keen on this one because I love citrus. Like that's like between coffee and citrus, those are like my two favorite flavor profiles in most of food.
Yeah, I think it's cool too because orange is also like the only. No, it's not the only one, but there's very few words in the English language that don't have a rhyming word, and orange is one of them. I always like learning about the origins of different words and where they come
Or the
from.
oranges.
I didn't realize that word went back so far to where it was in like Sanskrit and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they
if-
had to describe things.
If
so.
I knew you loved etymology, there's a whole section on Wikipedia for the etymology of foot. Comes from the word fot, F-O-T.
I could really,
I didn't dive into
I
that,
could
but-
really dig into that with my feet,
Yeah.
like with my feet.
You stepped into that one, Dan.
Got to always put your best foot forward.
All right, so I have a discovery from the Podcast Discovery Club, and this has got to be one of my favorite ones I've seen in a while. It's from Keith. Thank you, Keith. And it is about an ice cream shop in Georgia that has created a donut sub ice cream sundae thing.
I was going to ask if this was like Georgia in the U.S. or Georgia.
No, not the country. Is it a country?
State. It is a country.
It's the state of Georgia.
So as soon as you
In
said
the
it was an
US.
ice cream shop and they created this monstrosity, I knew.
So it's actually like that whole like rolled ice cream thing.
Yeah.
That's a craze now. Have you guys had that yet?
Yeah,
It's really good.
it is.
It is. It's really weird to watch them make it. They just like pour liquid on this like really cold surface, and then
They
the
poured
opposite-
cream.
it's
on
the opposite of
cold
a hot
surface, and
Is
then
the
turns
cream a
into ice
liquid?
Cream.
is it a liquid?
They pour
Cream
they-
is a liquid, yes.
No,
Thank you.
It's not even just cream. I think that they pour melted ice cream.
That's how you make ice cream. You take
Yeah.
cream and ice it.
No, I know.
No,
I'm
you
just-
add a
it's
ton of
liquid.
sugar
I
to
just
it.
said liquid. Dang it, Josh. So this place takes rolled ice cream and they put it on it looks like a sub bun. However, it's not. It's basically a long donut that they cut in half. And it looks
It's a long donut.
They know
Amazing.
that ain't no bun. That's a long ass donut.
That's
It's got
what she
frosting
said.
on it.
And we'll share the link with all the pictures and stuff. It's very Instagram worthy apparently because there's a lot of pictures, but it looks so tasty. Next
I
time
would
we
eat
go
it.
through Georgia, we gotta stop there.
It does
to
look
get,
like a diabetes sandwich, but
What
I would
part
eat
of
it.
Georgia?
dang it.
It's not very big.
It's just a
Just
little
drive around
town.
till you find it.
Georgia is kind of big.
It's
It's kind of. It's not like a
that's
real
not
big
good advice.
state, but it's like
No,
kind of big.
The best part about rolled ice cream is it just turns into ice cream rolls on your body.
Is that the best
It's
part?
in Atlanta. So Keith's probably okay. Let me
ATL.
get this. So this is near Atlanta, and I know that Keith lives near Atlanta.
Did you just dox him?
No. So I have a request. I want Keith to go eat this and then be our reporter on the street and let us know how this thing tastes because it
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
great.
Keith, please send us in your video or audio review of
Yes.
the ice cream sandwich.
Exactly.
Each and
what I was
every
thinking.
bite.
Get your mic really close while you're eating it so we can hear you eating it.
This is our first ASMR episode.
Yes.
Please no. Please, not that. This is not
That's
designed to be
not where you were
ASMR.
going with it. You said audio. I was thinking ASMR. That's not.
Audio is fine, but I want him to talk about the experience. Not
Yeah.
You don't have to hear him eating.
No,
ice
we can
cream.
make Keith
Both.
our ASMR
Why
consultant.
can't he be both?
He could be, but should he be?
Yes.
I don't know. Send
No.
us. We'll tell you whether it's good enough or not to be an RS.
I think
Okay,
you should
put-
ask him first. You should get his consent.
Keith, you can put the ASMR at the beginning. There's a very high likelihood that it gets cut. But I would love to hear
Him
what your
slurping down
thoughts
a
are.
donut sandwich.
No, not that. The opposite of that. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the donut sandwich because you're close enough that you can go just try it real quick.
And I'll Venmo you that like $7 that it'll cost.
Yeah.
Man, we can make one.
Kirk
Just go
will
down-
pay you for that donut sandwich.
Just the cost. I'm not paying him to do
No,
it.
he said he's paying you
I'm not paying
$400,
gas. I'm not
$500 just to go eat it and then record for us. But no, it sounds amazing, but I do feel like that's one of the things that you eat it and afterwards you're like, that was a lot of sugar. I feel weird in my body now. And is it worth it? Probably. It probably is. So on a very different type of topic, Ernest Hemingway.
My man.
He very famously committed suicide. Here's the thing, though. A lot of times, people will kind of attribute that to depression. But I read a really interesting article from The Guardian the other day that talked about how he was very, very paranoid about the FBI tracking him. And most people were like, he's delusional. He is full on delusional about weird agencies tracking him. And that's very common where you're like, okay, high level organizations are tracking me. And it's not true. We even talked
Florida
last week
man.
about Florida man who thought the deep state was next to him, so he shot him with a pea gun. But that is not what was happening because Ernest Hemingway talked multiple times about thinking the FBI was watching him. And everybody's like, they're not. They're not doing it. He got checked into a medical facility. He got electroshock therapy that was ineffective after 2 suicide attempts. And
And his dad committed suicide, correct?
I don't know about that.
He did. I
But-
just wasn't sure if it was his mom or his dad, but I think it was his dad.
But here's the interesting thing. The FBI was tracking him.
What?
We found out by the Freedom of Information Act in the 80s that someone was actually tracking him. But yeah, it's because of the time he spent in Cuba. So Hemingway tried to start an anti-fascist spy network called the Crook Factory. So in the 60s, he was trying to do this. He had talked about multiple times to random different people about the FBI is following me around. They're tracking what I'm doing. And no one believed him at all. Like they thought that he was just in a deep depression and he was getting like extreme. But then in 1961, the special agent tasked with following him reported to J. Edgar Hoover, the famous, infamous director of the FBI, that he was physically and mentally ill. And so like they were tracking him at the time. And then there was 120 pages of file on Ernest Hemingway with the FBI, 15 of them largely blacked out for national security reasons. And we found this all out in like the 80s because somebody did a Freedom of Information Act request, which is in theory, you can say you are the government, but that means you work for us in America. And so we can request that if you are using our resources to do something, we can request that information. They will redact it if there's something that's national security risk. And so they redacted a lot of pages of this. But we have confirmed since then that there was a giant file on Ernest Hemingway because they were following him from his time spent in Cuba and from just his general sentiment towards war and towards just
That's pretty crazy.
the powers.
Yeah.
And
didn't know that.
So it really kind of cast.
So is there a
shadow
theory
doubt.
that he committed suicide so they couldn't catch him?
No,
But,
it's
like-
that he became paranoid because of them tracking him. And no one believed that was actually happening, but he was increasingly paranoid. No one believed what he was saying, and so he kind of got pushed to the edge. And so I realize it's dark, but it was interesting when I read it because I had always thought like, oh, depression. He was kind of he's a ridiculously interesting guy. Served in the military. He actually went overseas and was like in an ambulance.
Yeah, he was an
corps.
ambulance. Yeah.
And like he's done crazy stuff, and then he became like a very man's man type of guy. hunting and fishing and writing very bare bones prose that was just still so good. Like, so many people have tried to emulate that style where you're like, I'm going to write just very basic. Nobody can do it like Hemingway. The guy was just the man, wrote crazy, awesome stories, and then had just such a conflicted life. And also, in the end, he was a Florida man. He may not have been born here, but he had a house in the Keys. You can still go visit it. It's like a museum now.
Yeah,
Some of the descendants of his cats
still
live there.
But I didn't go there because it was like $30 per person.
But it's just, it's just crazy because he, like, everybody thinking he was crazy, saying the FBI's following me. They were, and so it puts that kind of a shadow of doubt on.
Yeah, maybe he didn't kill himself. Maybe
or
the
he
FBI killed him because of what he was going to say.
Dun, dun, dun,
Or he
dun.
killed himself because nobody believed him, even though it was true. You know? It just adds an interesting layer to what was one of, and I think that most people would agree, one of the greatest American writers ever. And so, I mean, I just discovered that, and I was like,
that's really cool. Hemingway's great.
That is crazy.
It's dark and fascinating.
I'm always down to learn more about that guy.
I don't know. Yeah, it's dark, but it was interesting. So I felt like I would tell it. For the final discovery of the week, we have the Discovery Band. And this week, the band is called Vampire. You did not hear me wrong. It's Vampire with a W. And this band is from Portland, Oregon. They're a psychedelic pop duo. And they actually started making music together when they were in middle school. By the mid-2000s, they were building like a repertoire of music. And they were starting to expand how they were doing things. The song that I would like to recommend is called Orchards from their 2013 album called Curiosity. As always, if you have new discoveries this week, we would love to hear about them. We'd love to hear about them on Twitter, @ThePDSOfficial, or join our Facebook group. It's really fun. People are sharing stuff all the time. It's called the Podcast Discovery Club. And we will talk to you next week. Enjoy Orchards by Vampire.
Bye, guys. Love you.
is a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.